AM transmitter site. As you can see, we have lots of devices here in the transmitter site, including this rather large box here. Oh, you wanted to pan the other way. Well,
that's okay.
The large box next to the owner of the radio station.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's catch him here.
The owner of the radio station.
Hello there.
Is this an authorized tour?
It's an authorized tour,
okay.
Yes.
Good. This is the antenna phasing device, which at this point is operating with transmitter 1 into the night antenna.
Let's see if we can get a picture.
Which is good because it's dark outside right now.
Okay, let's see if we can get a picture of that.
This meter here indicates the amount of power that the station is transmitting with. It's called the common point input current. And that's reading 3.3000002 amperes. This is the radio transmitter.
Wait a minute. I can't pan that fast, okay?
Okay, I'll slow down. This is the radio transmitter. This is a 1,000 watt Continental Electronics solid state transmitter. Instead of a tube in it, or several, it has several little RF modules that sit in here until they burn up. And then they smoke and do nasty things, and we replace them. These equipment racks, is that too fast? It's all right.
We're getting there.
All right. These equipment racks contain the monitoring and control equipment for the radio transmitter and the audio that feeds it. This is the antenna monitor, which takes care of monitoring the parameters on the very complicated directional antenna system, which is controlled by the phaser that we discussed earlier. This is the AM stereo, yes, stereo modulation monitor. This is the AM stereo exciter. It is rather exciting because all the other AM stereo stations aren't. They're mono out here. This is the volume control for the monitor. So we can turn it on and off. This is the remote control, which allows the disc jockey and the owner of the radio station to control the transmitter from the studio as prescribed by FCC rules. However, KVVQ, running an unattended operation at night, needs to be able to control the transmitter from more than one location, like your local phone booth. This device lets you control it from the telephone.
Why don't you let us listen to that device?
Oh, well, you want to get complicated.
Sure.
Set up enabled. Please enter system access code.
And now it will probably say set up disabled in a second.
It better.
Maybe it won't.
Set up disabled. Goodbye.
I like that word. Bye. Anyway, you can call that on an electric telephone and enter special code numbers and control the transmitter and read the meters, and it will read the numbers out to you in English language. I wonder if they make a Spanish version of that. They probably do.
Probably do, yeah. Why not?
This device switches the antenna to the appropriate antenna mode in the morning and again in the evening as required by the FCC. That actually happens at the average local sunset time for this area for each month. This is the STL, standing for Studio Transmitter Link Receiver. It's like a microwave receiver. It picks up the signal from the studio, and that's where the music comes from. It also carries on it on a subcarrier the control tones from the main remote control system, so that we don't have to have a telephone circuit out here to control the transmitter. This stereo demodulator takes the composite signal from the STL and turns it into left and right stereo audio that feeds the stereo exciter into the transmitter. And that's how the audio gets out here. This is a transmitter that transmits metering information and status information back to the studio so that this remote control can find out what's going on out here. It's called a TSL, transmitter to studio link, just the opposite of the STL, which is studio to transmitter link. And we have an FM tuner, which will eventually be hooked up in such a way that we can simulcast the FM on the AM in the event that the STL system should fail suddenly. Below that is some equipment that we built with little relays on it to interface all the equipment together so that the remote control speaks the same language as the transmitter and the antenna system. So there are power supplies down at the bottom. And this over here is a power amplifier, which was very loud, for monitoring by deaf people if necessary. And this concludes this tour of...
Wait a minute. You missed an important feature of this transmitter room.
What feature would that be?
Look down toward your feet.
The outlet?
It's the KVVQ carpet.
That's true. Carpet actually has several advantages in a transmitter room. One, it impresses the heck out of an FCC inspector. Two, it reduces noise because transmitter rooms tend to be a little bit noisy. And three, it helps keep the dust down. When dust falls on it, it doesn't fly back up.
And besides, we were able to trade it out. So we were able to get it installed at the... It was either to have it carpeted as a transmitter or to have my bathroom recarpeted at the outhouse, so we decided to do the transmitter.
Now, do you want to walk behind the transmitter and look back there?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Go ahead. Lead the tour.
Okay.
We'll go by here. We'll see a little bit of electrical work down here. Okay,
Of course, this equipment has high voltage radio frequency signals in it, RF to those in the biz.
Yeah.
And so we don't take the doors off while it's turned on, because you could get killed. And then over here, we have wiring that is actually low enough in voltage that it can be exposed both legally and just from a common sense point of view. This is the remote control interface panel, which is basically a bunch of terminals that allow us to connect the remote control systems, which come in on these upper rows of wires, to the transmitter and the antenna system and the other equipment in the room that is controlled by the remote control system. That equipment is connected with plug-in cables on the back of this panel. Now this, I might point out, is temporary wiring and not what we would consider to be up to standards here. That will be removed at some point in the near future. And you can see that the audio wiring over here in this patch bay is quite neat.
That's as close as I can get. The camera doesn't like to focus that close.
That's fine.
Okay.
Now you'll notice that the antenna monitor has these coaxial cables that are actually all cut to the same length.
And they're actually numbered as to which tower they are.
That's right. And the numbering is out of sequence because the antenna monitor requires that the reference tower be presented on this input port. And the antenna system design requires that tower 2 be the reference tower. So we had to swap the numbers and the coaxes around to make everything look 1, 2, 3, 4 on the front panel, so it went in order. And that's pretty much all that's back here, except for this telephone terminal. I'll get out of your way.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to look at the back of the other remote control.
There you go. Notice the little relays? Each of those are associated with a control channel. 16 control channels, and there's a raise function and a lower function, or an on and off function, if you will, for each of those 16 channels.
We have a little temperature probe way up in the corner, which I don't even know if we can see it or not, but we'll try.
Allows us to monitor the room temperature from the studio, and we actually have a tolerance alarm on it, so if the air conditioner should fail and it gets too hot in here, it rings an alarm in the studio.
And then if we come over here,
it's good old XD5175.
a telephone terminal.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay. And then we have the KVVQ broom. And I think that's it.
The room, and to your right is the KVVQ air conditioner.
Let's see what brand it is. I don't think my camera... Oh, it just went out of focus. Say goodnight.
Good night.
The broom we use to fly out, really, is a vehicle we use to fly out to the towers for the transmitter readings, and that's why we have one put behind the racks here ready to use, as we have 4 towers, and it cuts down on time.